So as Carlos mentioned before, we don't want to be reusing or rehearsing laws and strategies that have not worked in the past and just try and implement them again. So as a Democrat, what methods do you suggest for gun control laws, and if so, which ones and why?
So the first one I would say is what I just talked about: universal background checks. In the last 14 years, federal background checks have stopped 1.5 million transactions. They work. If you look at Colorado, who just recently passed universal background checks in their state, just within a few months, around 87 transactions were stopped. This is something that's common sense. 9 out of 10 Americans believe that it should be passed, and for some reason our Congress just won't take up the issue. And it's something that we need to do. It's very common sense. And then, like I said, we need to be looking at mental health services, not only for adults, but for children as well. We should be funding counselors to identify early on in a child's life if they have a mental illness, so we can treat them so that it doesn't lead to violence later on.
So as we've kind of recognized in multiple surveys done, over 90% of the American public does support universal background checks, yet this has not passed in Congress and has not been enacted into law. What do you think about this, and do you think that it is a solution for gun violence?
Well, I think it's interesting that we bring up opinion polls, because if we ask the majority of the people, they are slowly but surely getting the idea, waking up and knowing that just putting a gun in the books, it's not going to take our guns away. There was a study conducted last month by Reason Roop, and their poll found that 63% of Americans are skeptical and remain skeptical of gun control laws keeping actual guns from criminals. So that, and what's even more interesting, because there is no fight over this in the on the right side or in the Republican Party, more than half of Democrats also are on the same page, understanding that a simple law, even if it's federal, if it's state, is not going to take the supply of those guns away. And 2/3 of independents believe the same. Education about guns and gun control is increasing, and so is our understanding on how to deal with it. Dealing with it with a legislation and with a rule that says you simply can't have guns here is the old way. It's the way that didn't work. It's time to think of new ways for modern America, knowing that guns are going to be readily available in our culture and play a role in protecting us every single day. We have to start thinking of new ideas. For example, teaching our kids on what to do when you find a loaded gun in the house or in the street. We don't teach our kids that.
But what do you think specifically about universal background checks and making it more difficult for your average citizen to get access to a gun, or at least having more barriers for one to get access to a gun?
Again, I think it's only affecting those who are willing to go through that background check. You're not affecting the guy who's buying the guns out in the back alley or in the underground market anywhere. You're only affecting those who are more likely to get trained, those who are more likely to keep the guns for self-defense and for sport. Those people are the ones being affected. You can never think that you're affecting the criminals by a simple ban. Prohibition of alcohol, prohibition of drugs show us that, and it's historical and it's factual. So,
I have to address that, because if you're a criminal and you know you can go into a gun show and buy an AR-15 rather than trying to go from some illegal gun dealer, then you're going to go to the gun show and you're going to buy it legally. So to me, saying that it won't make it harder for criminals to get guns, that's just untrue, because it will make it harder. And proven it. I already said 1.5 million transactions stopped in the last 14 years, and in Colorado it's working as well. It's proven to work, and I don't see how anyone could be against at least making the process harder, so that we screen out people that shouldn't be able to get guns. That, to me, it's common sense. And to 9 out of 10 Americans, it's common sense, and it's something that we should do.
But it's not about the tool that they use. It's about the actual violent crime that's being committed. You can say, yeah, they don't use the big, scary-looking guns, maybe because they're not concealed right or whatever, but the violence is still occurs. The violence is still here, and the supply is still here. We have to find a better way, and rather than these antiquated rules that haven't been working. I don't understand how we can think it's morally permissible to take somebody's human right of self-defense away in the hopes that these rules will work the second time again or the third time again.